This week in BSF we were doing 1 John 19 through 51. I want to just mention real quickly the main thing that I took from this week's BSF was that Jesus reveals himself so that we may believe and belong. The first step in being clear in who your identity is by knowing who Jesus is. And I love that. So let's go to the very beginning of John 1:19. And it's all about John the Baptist. The Jewish leaders sent priests and temple assistants to ask John who he was. They asked John, "Are you Elijah?" And he says, "No." I've always thought that John was Elijah just because in another part in the Bible, Jesus says that Elijah has already come. And so I was kind of confused at this, and so I liked BSF's explanation that even though John was not Elijah, he came with the same spirit and power, so in a sense Elijah had come. And I was so confused at this part that the explanation, I liked it enough to put it in my Bible just so that I could remember it. And then they're still asking John who he is, and they asked him, what right does he have to baptize? And he says, "I baptize with water, but right here in this crowd is someone you do not recognize. Though his ministry follows mine, I'm not even worthy to be his slave and untie the straps of his sandal." So they're asking about who John is, and John's like, I baptize with water, but right now you shouldn't really be focusing on who I am, and you should focus more on Jesus, on this Messiah. And so I have written here, John the Baptist's aim was always to turn attention from himself and put it on Jesus, which is awesome and something that we should definitely remember. Going down to verse 35, well actually 36, John tells two of his disciples, "Look, there's the Lamb of God." And the two disciples heard and followed Jesus. They up and left John and went and started following Jesus, and John was okay with that, which just shows that John really truly understood who he was and that Jesus was most important and that his whole life was to lead people towards Jesus, and so he is completely happy and completely fine with letting his two disciples go and follow Jesus. So awesome, and something I think we should definitely remember. So I have John is secure in his identity and he lets his disciples go to follow Jesus. And then we were talking in BSF that Jesus looks at those two disciples and asks, "What do you want?" I don't take it as like he's so mean and like, "What do you want? Like, stop annoying me," but what do you want? And I think it just seems that Jesus already knows the answer. Obviously, Jesus is God, he knows all. But he's asking it because he wants them to know what they want. What is the reason they're following Jesus? I mean, I think that's something that everybody should ask themselves. Like, why are you following Jesus? Just so you can understand. And it was really cool that in BSF, in the notes, it said that some people actually write down in a journal or say it out loud the reasons why they are reading. Like, what do they want to get out of their readings? And I think that's something interesting and something that I might start doing just because it helps you to really truly grasp and get what you want out of the study. So I think that's cool. And they respond that they ask Jesus where you're staying, and he says, "Come and see." He's so inviting and it's awesome. And so I have down there that Jesus makes it easy to come to him without fear. So the two disciples, many believe one of them is John, the actual author, and then the other one is Andrew, who is Simon Peter's brother. And Andrew goes to Simon and brings Simon to meet Jesus. And I think that's really cool. You don't hear much about Andrew, but you hear a ton about Simon Peter. And so it's in the notes, it said that Andrew is always seen bringing people to Jesus, which I think is cool, that Andrew knows his identity and knows that it's so much more important to bring people to Jesus than to have everybody know who you are. And I think that's really cool. And so then Jesus found Philip, and Philip went and found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the very person Moses and the prophets wrote about. His name is Jesus, the son of Joseph from Nazareth." And Nathanael exclaims, "Nazareth? Can anything good come from Nazareth?" And Jesus says about Nathanael, "Now here is a genuine son of Israel, a man of complete integrity." Jesus is saying about this to the guy that just said, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" I think that's such a mean thing to say, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" But Nathanael in the way that Jesus says, now here's a genuine son of Israel and a man of complete integrity, it's showing that Nathanael wasn't questioning out of hatred, and it wasn't supposed to be something really mean, but he was questioning it for his understanding. And I think that's something that is important for us to remember, that it's okay to question, and it's actually really good to question, but you should be questioning for the right reasons, and you should be questioning for understanding and not out of hatred. And the only other thing that I have written down for this week was that John, Andrew, and Philip all went and shared the news of Jesus right after meeting him. So John the Baptist found who Jesus was and told his two disciples, look, there's Jesus. Those 2 disciples followed him. One of those disciples is Andrew, and he brought his brother Simon to meet Jesus as soon as he was done meeting Jesus. And then Philip met Jesus, and as soon as he was done, he went and found Nathanael, who met Jesus. And I think that's really cool, and another thing to take and ponder and remember and to mimic. So that is what I read and what I took out of John 19 through 51. I'm still absolutely loving BSF and taking everything I can out of it. And these are just the notes that I took from it. There's probably a lot more stuff that you can take out of this, and if you have anything else that you think is really important from these passages, please let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Next week it's all on John 2. So have a great day. Bye.